Hey everyone, welcome to my channel for the love of sports. Today we'll be going over the ATP tennis predictions for the Monte-Carlo tournament. We are on an 8-3 best bets run. We went 2-1 yesterday, so we had a nice little profit there. I'm gonna go ahead and just recap the bets yesterday. So in my last video for April 8th, I had two best bets in that video. I had a two-leg parlay of Holger Rune money line and Jack Draper money line. That one did not hit as Holger Rune looked horrible and ultimately had to retire. So we lost that one. But the second one was Tomas Echeverry money line versus Mutet and Alexander Zverev to win at least one set, and he won the first set. So that was a no sweat for us. Um, so that was actually the better odds play, which kind of worked out for us. And then I wanted to play later in the day, and I really liked the Jack Draper game, and I had him in the other play, in the two-leg parlay, but Holger Rune ruined that. So I was like, you know what? Let me see what they had. And I saw Jack Draper minus 1.5 set spread versus Gidon. And it was too good of a price for me not to take for minus 120. I went ahead and took it, and just like that, we got a nice little profit on the day, 2-1. So I will take that, and let's keep it going. All right, we're going to go ahead and start going over a couple of these games here. We have Daniel Altmaier versus Richard Gasquet. So Richard Gasquet's possibly playing in his last tournament. It's kind of hinted at that. He does lead the head-to-head. Daniel Altmaier is the favorite in this matchup. He is the better player, in form right now. Richard Gasquet has played a little bit better recently. He's just not someone that I trust too much. Honestly, this game just is not my favorite. Minus 220 for Altmaier. I don't like paying that price, honestly, especially when you're down in the head-to-head. It's just not something I want to pay, so I'll pass on that game. Then we have Jiří Lehečka versus Lorenzo Musetti. Lehečka leads 2-0 in the head-to-head. Now Lorenzo Musetti almost lost his first game here. He ultimately did win in the third set against Boo, but that game was not great for him. I was watching that game, and I had a play. I had actually had Musetti as part of a two-leg parlay. It didn't ultimately hit, but it wasn't because of him. But I did watch the game, because it was part of my two-leg parlay, and I was really unimpressed with Musetti. He was, he was missing a lot of easy shots, and he let Boo just kind of hit him across the court in that first set. He did come back and win the match, but I wasn't too impressed with him. Jiří Lehečka looked great against Sebastian Korda, and Sebastian Korda is a pretty tough matchup. I feel like Korda gave him all he could, honestly, and Lehečka leading 2-0 in the head-to-head kind of shows the strength of Lehečka. So I would take Jiří Lehečka here. That would be the play that I would take. I know that Musetti is very good in the clay, but I trust Jiří Lehečka more than I trust Musetti at the moment. I don't think I would bet it just because Musetti's he's very good on the clay, but I would lean towards Jiří Lehečka if I had to pick one. Next game, we have Nuno Borges versus Pedro Martinez. Nuno Borges leads 2-0 in the head-to-head. And Nuno Borges is the reason we went 2-1 instead of 3-0. But it's okay. Nuno Borges played great against Holger Rune. Really gave him no space at all. And Pedro Martinez played, pretty well. We kind of heeded a warning betting against him yesterday because we know how good Pedro Martinez could be on the clay. And he did play pretty well. Nuno Borges does lead 2-0 in the head-to-head matchups, so I understand, why he would be favored. I wouldn't put it past Pedro Martinez to go ahead and take this one, though, or at least make it close. I think Nuno Borges was, minus 200 or something close to that. I think it was minus 220, actually. So a little bit too high for my liking. If I had to lean, it's a tough matchup. I'd have to lean Nuno Borges just because of the head-to-head, and he's pretty solid on the surface as well. But I wouldn't put it past it that Pedro Martinez goes ahead and wins this game. Next matchup, we have Tomas Echeverri versus Davidovich Fokina. So we actually won a bet on each of these guys in the last 2 days. We had Davidovich Fokina straight up on the money line versus Ben Shelton. And yesterday's play, we had Echeverri as part of that money line with Zverev. So, uh, I bet both of these players recently. I've watched both of their games recently. Echeverri threw that first set away. He was up 4-1 in that first set against Muset, and he was really lucky to come back in the second and third set. Not lucky, I mean he played very well in that second set. He dominated the second set, but you know he that first set was a big letdown, and I was honestly worried after he lost that first set. I was like, I don't know, because he was up 4-1, and he lost 6-4, so he didn't win a game after that, which is kind of crazy. To be fair, Motel was hitting some winners, and I was like, what is going on? I mean, he was hitting every winner that you could, and they were all in, and it was like, wow. Um, so I gotta give him, Motel some credit there. But Echeverri did end up winning the game, so I gotta give him some credit. Now, but Davidovich Fokina um, kind of did the same thing. I would say, he lost the first set against Ben Shelton when he had the lead. That game was kind of weird, to be honest, because there was a lot of breaks, and Ben Shelton doesn't get broke that much. So it kind of tells you how strong Davidovich Fokina is on the surface. He does lead the head-to-head 2-0, and I trust him in this scenario. I think he played better than Echeverri did. I think he has a little bit more talent than Echeverri, and is in a bit of a better form than Echeverri as well. I think before this, Echeverri had lost like 3 straight games, so not too great. David Fokina has shown sometimes this year, throughout this year, that he can he can perform in high pressure scenarios. An example, Ben Shelton this last game. I feel like Ben Shelton is a lot better, of an opponent than Mutet, right? So definitely got to give the lean on David Fokina, and might be part of my best bet later. Next game we have Andre Rublev versus Gal Monfils. Gal Monfils, he did play very good. He actually beat Fabian Marozan, which we actually had Marozan in that game, because Gal Monfils usually doesn't do so good on the clay. But Monfils lost the first set, and then the second and third set he was very dominant. I mean, he looked great. He was hitting great shots. He was extending rallies, and he really made Marozan work a lot. Andre Rublev hasn't played in this tournament yet. Rublev has been really shaky this year. I do trust him more than Monfils in the clay. Not a game that I'm going to bet, though. Just not going to bet it. Next game we have Francisco Cerundolo versus Carlos Alcaraz. Now, Francisco Cerundolo won his last matchup 6-0, 6-3. So he really, really took advantage and took care of that first game. I mean, he was minus 1,000 for a reason. So, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. But still, he still made the win, and, he did what he had to do. He dominated. Carlos Alcaraz, he lost against Marcos Giron. And that was a weird matchup. I don't know. I mean, anybody can lose to anybody, right? But Marcos Giron, really? I wasn't expecting that. And head-to-head is a 2-1 in favor of Alcaraz, but Cerundolo has been pretty great this year, honestly. I mean, he's gone far in a lot of tournaments. He's beat a lot of quality opponents. I mean, he's beat Zverev. He's beat Tommy Paul. He's beat a bunch of guys. So, I think that there's a bet in this game, and I'll go ahead and wait to the end of the video to go over the best bets. But I think I am going to have a best bet in this game here. Next matchup we have Flavio Cobolli versus Arthur Fils. Arthur Fils he does lead in the head-to-head 1-0. Flavio Cobolli has been looking better and better. I think he's won 5 straight now, so he's looking better and better. He won the last tournament in Bucharest, so He has a lot of momentum, but Arthur Fils looked explosive like he always does when he's playing well against Talon Greeksport. And I think Arthur Feast's aggression could win him this game. So I would lean Arthur Feast. Next, we have Novak Djokovic versus Alejandro Tabilo. Tabilo actually beat him last year in the clay and pretty convincingly, which was straight sets. I think Novak is minus six something. Just not a game I'm going to touch. I think Novak wins. I don't think Tabilo will win him again, but you never know. And just not a game I'm going to touch. Next, we have Batista Agut versus Casper Ruud. Batista Agut surprisingly lead this head-to-head 3-1, which I think is kind of crazy. Casper Ruud is heavily favored, minus 450 the last time I checked. Casper Ruud should take this down. I don't really have, I'm not too concerned about this game for Casper Ruud. Just this minus 450 is just too much for me to pay in anything, in a parlay or anything. Just not something I'm going to pay most of the time. And I feel like I've got a couple better best bets, for today. I would lean Casper Ruud though. Next game we have Thomas Mahac versus Alex de Minaur. This is going to be the best game of the day. This is going to be the best game of the day. Let me tell you, this could come down to the wire. I mean, Thomas Mahac has looked really, really good this year, but de Minaur is just solid, man. He has lost a couple of games recently where I thought he should have won, but de Minaur is always solid. That's what him. He's just always solid, and Thomas Mahac is a top 10 player. So it's two top 10 players fighting for to qualify in the next round. I would lean Thomas Mahac. I think he's a little bit better in this surface, and he's in a bit of a better form, I would say. So I would lean Thomas Mahac, but this should be a great game. I'm not gonna bet it, but should be a great game. Next, we have Medvedev versus Alexander Mueller. Medvedev should take this down. I'm not too concerned with this one. I feel like Medvedev should take this. Alexander Mueller did look good in his last game. Got to give it to him. I did take him on the money line versus Ugo Carabelli, so I did take him, and he looked good. He played rather well. Straight sets. Nothing too concerning on terms of his gameplay. I wasn't concerned at all. I felt pretty confident in him throughout that match. So he is in solid form, but like I said in 2 videos ago when Medvedev played Kachanov, I feel like this is the one that Medvedev, he's gonna play tough. I feel like this is the one he needs to make it far in. He's had a couple tournaments that he's been fighting for a spot. And I feel like this is the one that he needs to take advantage before we get to that big tournament coming up. So I would take Medvedev in the money line here. Next, we have Valentin versus Grigor Dimitrov. It should be a pretty easy pick. I'm going to take Grigor Dimitrov. I feel like he's just a better player. He leads in the head-to-head 1-0. The price is minus 500. Not going to touch that price, but I would say Dimitrov wins this game. And lastly, we have Frances Tiafoe versus Alexei Popyrin. Frances Tiafoe does lead 1-0 in the head-to-head. Alexei Popyrin played, pretty much as good as he could have in the second and third set against Ugo Humbert. Very pleasantly surprised with him. I did heed warning yesterday against picking against Popyrin on this surface because he is pretty solid on the surface. But Frances Tiafoe, even after winning, not winning the last tournament, making it to the finals in Houston, he comes back and he didn't play great, but he did win against Kekmo, and Kekmo is a solid player. I would have to lead Alexei Popyrin here though. I feel like the level that I saw against Ugo Humbert, if he plays in that same level, he'll take down Frances Tiafoe, especially on this surface. So I would lean Alexei Popyrin. I don't think I'll bet this game though. All right, and as you can see, that's the final. So we went over all the games here. Now I'm going to go over a couple of best bets that I have. I have two best bets for now. Um, Keep in mind though, I do add live plays. I've added it a couple of videos. I've added live plays, so make sure you have your post notifications on and make sure you subscribe so you'll have any a notice when I add any plays. But let's start with the two plays that I have for today so far. I have Davidovich Fokina money line, and that is against Thomas Echeverry. He leads 2-0 in the head-to-head, and as I said earlier, I think Fokina is just a little bit better in terms of talent. So we have a two-leg parlay, Davidovich Fokina and Daniel Medvedev to win at least one set. So I do think that he also wins the game, but at least take one set versus Alexander Mueller. I don't think that's asking too much considering the head-to-head 2-0. And like I keep repeating, I feel like Medvedev, this is a good chance for him to make it far in the tournament. So that's my first bet. Comes out to minus 119, pretty good price. Next bet I have Francisco Cerundolo plus 4.5 game spread versus Carlos Alcaraz. This has to do more with the form of Cerundolo. He is just in great form. I mean, I saw the last match that he, straight sets, easy win. But I've seen him play Tommy Paul. I've seen him play Alexander Zverev, and he is just playing at a level that is really hard to beat. And I think at worst he keeps it close, which is why I take the plus 4.5 game spread. Carlos Alcaraz, he did lose to Marcos Giron. He's capable of losing against good opponents, and Cerundolo is that. He has already lost some one time in his career, and this surface I think really benefits Cerundolo as well. Alcaraz as well. Alcaraz is a great player. If not one, he's top three at least, right? So, I wouldn't be surprised if Alcaraz wins this game, but I do think Cerundolo is going to keep it close. So I got that plus 4.5 game spread for minus 130. Pretty solid price for me as well. So those are the two best bets I have. Just to recap one more time, we have a two-leg parlay, Davidovich Fokina money line, and Medvedev to win at least one set. The second best bet is Cerundolo plus the 4.5 game spread. Make sure you're paying attention to that comment section. I'm gonna add these two bets there, and I'll add any live bets that I like, which happens more often than you think. Sometimes I just I want to get in a little bit more action. So far we're on an 8-3 run, so it's worked out. But make sure you comment, like, subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna go ahead and make a shorts. I'm gonna make shorts as well. So if you want to see a condensed version of some of these things, I will be making those. And let me know if there's anything else on the channel you think I should add here. I'm open to any suggestions. Make sure you comment any plays that you're tailing, or if you're tailing my plays, let me know. And thanks, guys. Have a good one.